Hello, this is my 2008 GX470. I'm in the process of taking some chrome off of it. I ordered all new handles and all new trim on it, the window trim. I've done the passenger side already, so I thought I'd share, since I know kind of how to do it now, I'd share the driver's side. So I ordered, and I'll share at the beginning of the video, hopefully, or at the end, I'll put all the part numbers, but actually ordered 4 black handles that are gloss black, and so all the part numbers are the same for all 4. Now the extra piece on the end of it, this piece right here, this piece is obviously the driver's side has the hole in it, so it's a different part number. The passenger side front is a different part number, and then the 2 rear ones, those are the same part number for the back. And these are the black ones here, and so they have them all available in factory colors. Mine's obviously black here, and so it's pretty straightforward. The rear ones are more time consuming. You have to actually take the door panel off, and we'll go through that and walk through that. That's a little time consuming to get that back door panel off, but once you get it off, it's pretty easy to get the handles changed out. So let's start with this front one. So the first thing is, and I've kind of already, just to ease my video here, I've taken apart. So if you look, you'll see this little plug right here, and just pry it out with a plastic tool. And inside there, you'll see I think it's a TX30 bolt. And so you're going to take that, and you're going to loosen it. And good Lexus engineering, there's keepers on that bolt. Hopefully yours are on there so it won't fall to the bottom. If it falls to the bottom, then you're going to have to take the door panel off to retrieve it. But there are keepers on that to keep it in place. So once you have that loose, you're going to come over here, and you're going to use a tool. And I've already kind of done this just to help me, but I'm going to pry this out. Be very careful. Take everything, go nice and slow, because you do not want to drop anything in the bottom of this door, so I don't want to take it out. So this particular one obviously has the lock in here. So I'll set that aside, and then you should be able to push this back a little bit, and then this handle comes right out. So it's just like that. And then for this, I'm going to have to basically pry that chrome cover off, and then put this cover on it. So it looks like it just snaps into place. So I'm going to stop the video and do that, and then we'll reassemble it. Okay, so I got it transferred over. That was pretty easy. Just release this small tab with a small screwdriver. It popped right off, and then replaced it with this new black one. So the handle itself, as you can see, I got my black new handle installed. The way we do this is you stick it in first on this end, stick it in, roll it in there, and then this is going to go in the back side, and you're going to slowly push it forward. Now to get it to push forward, there's a lever in there that you're going to have to pull forward, and I use a little pick tool. And basically it's, I don't know if I can, right in there, just barely pull it towards the outside of the door, pull it towards the door, and then slide the handle forward, and it'll lock into place. So it will not go back together without that. And so then just put this back in. And again, I'm trying to do it with one hand, and then come back over here, tighten up your Torx, and then replace the cover, and then obviously test it back and forth, make sure it works, and you should be good to go on that one. Over on the passenger side, this is the first one I did, so I didn't have my camera rolling, but just want to make sure you understand that this is the same thing on the passenger front. It's take off this piece here with a piece, with a plastic tool, take it off, and then this one, because there's no lock on it, right? And so here's the chrome one I took off, and notice it's got that screw, and that's what you're accessing through that hole. there's a keeper on this one, as same as all four. It's a TX30. Take that loose, and then you pop it out, and then the same thing with this handle. You just pull it out. This one's probably the easiest one to do. I did have a little issue with getting the screw to line up, but had this piece right here was a little offset, so I had to fix it. But once that's it, so I would start with the passenger side one first, just to kind of get an idea how it's all put together, and you should be good to go. Alright, so for the rear door, this is what the rear piece looks like. It's got the screw that's, it's not at an angle like the two front ones are. It's got these two tabs on there, so we have to get to that screw, which means we're going to have to take off this door, or this door panel. So this is held on with 3 screws. First thing you need to do is pop out the ashtray, and then you're going to take this off. You can see a screw right there, and then you pull up on this. Again, there's a screw right there, and then let's see if I can get this. Just back in here, there's a panel. Again, you want to use plastic tools in all these. Don't use anything metal on it. The key is to get it back and take that off, and then there's a Phillips screw right there. Okay, so I've got all 3 screws removed. This one, that one. Had to disconnect. It's just a push in here right there, push in on that, and then release it from the window switch. And just note too, I noticed on my other one, I'm going to have to reprogram and go through the whole programming of the windows. I guess because it got unplugged. So I got that one. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the bottom. I'm going to feel underneath here. There's a couple of, you can get your fingers in there. Again, you don't want to use any metal tools. And just, you're going to feel it and just come around and just kind of pop it out. I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you should get it to swing. And then at that point, you're going to pull up on it here and here. And then so once you get that done, then you're going to have a couple of connectors. Here's one, I think that's for the power lock. Release that one, and then you have to release these cables for the latch and for the lock. So for this one, I'm just gonna pull straight up on the green, like that, and then like this. Same thing on this one. And straight up and release that. And there's one more connector down here. Alright, so I got the panel off. And again, here's a little closer view of those. You just have to, almost like they remind me of old school bicycle brakes. You just have to disconnect it from the lock and from the latch. And then what you're going to need to do is we're going to need to, there's this right here. You're going to have to peel this off or cut it out, and then you're going to peel this back to get access, and then you're going to loosen these 3 Torx screws. I think they're Torx 30. That way we can loosen this up, and you're going to have to disconnect this as well. So the idea is we're going to take this loose, move this whole component back and then down, and then you can get your socket in here and this hole here with your TX30, and then we're going to be able to get to the back side of this. So yeah, word to know you want your window up. I probably should have said that at first. Hopefully it would be obvious, but so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this off, or just loosen it down, cut a hole in here, and then loosen here, and then we'll come back on. So I've peeled the plastic back. I'm just doing as minimal as possible. I'm going to save the integrity of this so I can put it back up in there. If you have to, you can use some duct tape. And then I've removed this one. You're going to have to put duct tape here. And then I've removed the 3 bolts here. And so basically you're going to reach your hand in there you're gonna, this is gonna kind of pull it off out of this thing and then let it drop. And just let it drop, don't go crazy with it. And at that point, if I can, at that point you should be able to look in there. Oops, let me get in the right place here. You should be able to get and see in there that TX30 in that hole. And so you're going to loosen that up, and then we'll go to the next step. Now, that new one, that old one probably won't come right off because it's got, as you can see on this new one, it's got these little tags here. So it's got the screw that holds it in here, but it's got these two tangs in here. So on the other side, I ended up I had to destroy basically one of these tangs to get just with a screwdriver, knowing that I wasn't going to use it again. And I was able to access it right through here with the screwdriver and just kind of break one of these off, and then I got it to come off. So I'm going to loosen that TX30 screw through that hole, and then remove the handle assembly, and then we'll start back up. Okay, so I got the old one out, and now I'm going to come over here, just going to pull back again this way and then pop it out, and the old one comes out this way. Alright, so I've got the new one here. Again, it's the same part number as all the other four. So you're going to slide that in, down in there. And the same thing on this one too. You're going to have to, there's that lever in here that you're going to have to get access to, and I'll use my picking tool like I've done in the past and push that lever in. And again, that lever sits, it's right in there, but it sits like this, and that's what actually actuates the door. So you have to get that, push it in just slightly and push it in. Get the new handle on, so now it's just a matter of getting this piece in and then pressing it in to lock it. Getting those two, there you go, just like that, and then go around and installing that other TX30 screw, tightening it back into that hole that we provided. Okay, so I put it all back in. I put the TX20 30 screw back in there. Just to make sure it feels right. Looks good, everything's lined up. So next thing you want to do, and I learned this the hard way on the other side, so on this, since we lowered it, if you look in there, you can see there's that yellow, there's that yellow fork in there. So that yellow fork needs to go, if I can get in here, and that yellow fork needs to go, when you put this, the latch on there, latch assembly, you need to make sure that that yellow fork, on the other side it's white, but you need to make sure that it hooks onto that arm or that lever right there on that latch assembly, or your handle's not going to work correctly. So just make sure you line that up, and then you're going to put that latch assembly back in and put the 3 bolts back in it. Okay, so here's that latch assembly back in place, and notice that location of that fork. It's probably the hardest thing to do on this one, just because you're working in there blind. So that's the biggest thing you want to do, is make sure, because if that's off, then obviously when you operate your door from the outside, it's not going to work. So, and hopefully you don't realize that after you put the panel and everything back on. So I learned that lesson the hard way on the other side, but this one, hopefully this saves you some heartache. So come back out and then put these 3 bolts back in, and then I always like to test it one last time. And then so before I seal everything back up, I'm gonna close the door, make sure I don't get any of these wires, and I'm just make sure it works before I go through the effort to put the door panel back on, make sure there's no issues with it. So okay, so now I've got the I spent some time and put this plastic back up the best I could. Just reuse that tacky stuff. The plastic sticks to it really well. Here I use some duct tape. I've got duct tape on my GX470, but just a little bit of piece there just to keep any moisture out. So now it's time. I tested the door. It opens and closes just fine.